I'm just looking for us. I know I'm here. There we go. Let's see, we are still having to do everything vertical, which is making me crazy. Crazy, I say. And let's see, I may have that tilted just a little too much, but we'll see. Hello, Joni. How are you, honey? You had an emergency yesterday? What was going on? We're getting ready to practice again. And I did quite a bit of practicing last night. I mean, wrote myself notes, took some time out. Yeah. A little bit of practice. And you know what happens when you practice? You get better. Okay, here we go. So yesterday in class, I used primarily the Tombow pen, which I really did like. I really did like it. I think it's got some wonderful properties to it. I wanted to try a couple of things, and I hope you'll follow along with me. Again, using Tombow, and I wanted to see how their colors blend together. And that's pretty. That's really pretty. So that's what we're going to kind of practice on today, is layering our colors. I'm going to grab another one and see how they work together. I don't know what colors I've got. Let's see. 553 and 533. I don't know which is lighter and which is darker, but let's just practice here. Oh, beautiful lavender. Beautiful lavender. Wow. And then let's see what this is with it. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. So whatever pens you're using, if you are using the here, I have one sitting right here, the really pretty Stampin' Up pens, I am finding still that they layer themselves. They do that better than trying to match colors, because their colors are kind of arbitrary. So you might want to just practice. If you're using Stampin' Up, use one pen, and we're going to practice layering using just one pen to get that depth. I wish I could get closer. I cannot get closer to my paper. Hi, Tiffany. But we're just going to practice getting some of that layering in. Okay, and if you are using an off-brand, I'd love to see what you're doing with it, because I think it sounds wonderful. If you're using the Brushables by Zig, one pen does both all of your layering. So going, and that's 2 layers, and then the other end will give you your 3rd layer. So let's start with some of that. Let's get our layering going. And I'm going to start, because I really like this. It's kind of a periwinkle. It's more of a periwinkle. So rest, pull down, flick. Rest, pull down, flick. Rest, pull down, flick. And last night, one of the practices I did for myself was getting the pressure to do various widths. So that if I want a narrow, I'm really focusing more on the tip of the pen. And I did whole lines of narrow, and then I laid it a little over and got a little bit thicker, just a little bit, and then laid it way over to get a thick line. So I did narrow and medium last night, and I really suggest that that's a good practice for you. But really today what I want to do is get some of this flicking in here. So I'm going to go wide, and you can see that I flicked up. So you see the rest in that little mushroom area at the top of the letter, and the flick you can see very clearly at the bottom of the letter. So rest, pull down, flick. Rest, pull down, flick. And you don't want to like grip this. Hi, Shelley. You want to let it rest in your hand, and it's not a tight grip on the pen. So it's a rest, pull down, flick up. Then to add your next one, you're going to flick down, flick up. And if you have a secondary color, you will add that second color to the top flick. You don't need the secondary color on the bottom unless that's your choice. Okay? So that is what we're practicing today. We're going to get this color blending going. If you are using just one pen to do it all, rest, pull down, flick, flick from the top. These need to kind of just not dry, but set a minute. Then flick again from the bottom, flick again from the top. Boy, that was a bad flick. Let's try again. Pull down, flick, 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 flick. And I think you can see the layering pretty good in that one. Flick, 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 flick. And you are going to do an entire page of that. You are going to just get your color flicked, top and bottom, and do an entire page of those. This is actually when it starts to be fun for me. Now, if you are using, for instance, a Stampin' Up! That has a fine line on the other end, I want you to take that fine line and I want you to outline and emphasize a waist. If you watched yesterday, we talked a little bit about a waist. You kind of draw it in. You're going to kind of emphasize it, even if it isn't quite there. Go ahead and emphasize it. It looks really good. If, as the ink dries, your layers don't show as well as you want, go ahead and flick again. The ink will build up on itself. It's Valentine's Day, and I'm sure some of you are getting ready for your Valentine, spending time with your loved ones. My sweethearts, my little grandchildren are not here with me, and I really don't have a sweetheart right now. Well, I do, but he's gone. So I don't do much celebrating. I really like this deep color. Pull down, flick, flick, and then I'm going to add the second color to it. And that's gorgeous. Now, what I do not have is really a perfect match for this as far as a pen goes, at least not right in front of me. So what you can do, and let me just turn my chair for a minute, is you can take any black pen, and in some ways this is really helpful because you can see better your outline. So you can do a little outlining with that, or let me go again. You could even go with a white pen, and I'm just going to hope this pen is working. I haven't tried it out. Oh, it is. And use a white pen to do your outlining. Now that's going to be a little harder to see, I'm going to tell you, but it will work. There we go. So today's practice assignment is going to be your flicks. It's going to be just rest, draw down, flick. Come from the top, flick. Okay? Then you're going to flick, 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 flick. I would suggest you begin this just by using one pen and do your whole line, including the flicks. You're going to see the color build up because it will be right in front of you. And you're going to see how one pen can layer. You can do all of your layering with one pen if that is what you choose. I have 3 pens I'm working with. I have either Tombow, Zig, or Stampin' Up. Those are the 3 that I own. And I didn't buy new pens to do this. I just stayed with what I had. It's practice, honey. It is so practice. And sometimes they aren't right at the top. And sometimes they're a little above the top or a little under the top. And the more you practice, the better it's going to get. But seriously, I think practicing this is going to give you such a head start on class on Friday, because it just makes a difference just to try different widths. Less pressure is a narrower width, laying it flatter, and more pressure is going to give you a wider width. But keep at it. And I want you to make note of things. Make note of the fact that maybe as it dries, I can see up here because I didn't add flicks right here. I didn't get the depth. But when I come back, now it's dry, and I start adding those flicks, I can really see a difference. So you may want to do a whole row of your pull down and then do a whole row. After that's completely dry, go back and add your flicks. Because can you see the difference? Hi, Judy. So less pressure, narrower. Less pressure, narrower. The more I lean it over and put pressure down, it gets wider. The rest at the top is important. Don't forget to rest at the top. It gives you kind of a bar. So go ahead and practice some narrow, some medium, and some wide. And then start adding your flicks. This is a really good one. This is now dry, and I can really see where the flicks have worked. And I can see that if I want to come back in and darken those, especially from the top down, I can do that. But you're going to have to practice to get those flicks to look like they've just parted the letter. They just are so integral. Let's grab a green. This is one of the Zig Blendables. And I'm going to do just a few. And you can see that rest, this does not have a rest at the top of it, this one. And it sure makes a difference. Now I can come back and add a flick to it, and without that rest, that flick does not seem to look as good to me. Hi, Terry. So rest, draw down, flick up. Rest, draw down, flick up. Rest, draw down, flick up. What if I'm doing a horizontal bar? I'm still going to do the same technique. Rest, draw across, flick back. Rest, draw across, flick back. Rest, draw across, flick back. If I want it to be kind of a fancier bar, I'm going to rest and bring it across. Rest and bring it across. Rest and bring it across. Then I can flick only from one end. I'm not going to flick from both ends. I'm flicking only from one end. Does that make sense? If I am doing, for instance, if I'm doing a T and I want that flick up, I'm only going to flick down at the top. And I probably don't want to get that carried away. Control your pen. Okay. Any questions so far? I really want you to practice getting that flick in there. Can you see I went out on that flick? Not good. Control your pen. Control where it goes. A flick should have, let me just get my black pen going here. Can you see your flick should be triangular? It's going to be a little rounded at the tip. That's fine. But your flicks are more triangular. So that's really what we're practicing today. You can always do your flicks for practice with a darker pen so you can see how well you're controlling your flicks. Hi, Cindy. So today's practice is with everything you do, And remember, we did curves yesterday. Okay, if I am doing a curve, I am only flicking at the top. Curve, flicking at the top, because I can come in here with the tip and darken that. Rose, that sounds pretty good. Those Cheetos sound pretty good. I had a difficult night last night. I don't know what if I ate something wrong or if there was something wrong, but I was nauseated last night like I can't believe. Absolutely sick to my stomach most of the night, and huge chest pains, which to me sounds like indigestion. Finally quit. I had taken some Advil and finally quit hurting about 3 o'clock this morning. So again, all of the strokes we learned yesterday, we're going to do horizontal strokes and we're going to add flicks to both ends. We're going to do a curved stroke and we're going to add our flicks just to the top. We're going to do a straight flicks top and bottom. We're going to do our curve going the other way, and boy, is that ever hard for me too. But you have to have your curve that goes both ways. And you can see I don't use that nearly as much because that's not coming real naturally to me. But I want to add my flicks. And just practice nothing but flicks. Nothing but flicks. Just do lines of flicks and control the length and the width of those flicks. When you can do a whole line of flicks and have them be approximately the same length, you're going to know you really have good control of your pen. Then flick on top of flicks. So that you're getting your color variation. Top, go over them again with a darker color if you want to. So that you can see how your flicks even layer. This is a lot of practice because it's a lot of muscle memory. So when you practice your flicks, you're not only going to go top to bottom, you're going to go with a whole line that is bottom to top. You're going to do a line that is right to left and one that is left to right. Do some that are side to side. Tomorrow we're going to start putting some of our flicks together, some of our letters together. We're going to start working on that kind of thing. So that you know when you do a curve, if you bring it all the way around, you've got an O. If you only do it part of the way, you've got a C. If you add a horizontal and a vertical, you've got a G. So we're going to start putting some stuff together. And I want you to really practice up because it's not gonna help you if you don't have the basics behind you. Okay? Are there any questions? Well, I like teaching you how to learn. I think it would be pretty darn sad if I do a class and you come out and you go, I didn't learn anything. I had a class many, many years ago, and I had a student. And I had taught person by person, individually as well as a group, for over 7 hours. And I was pretty exhausted. And as I was finishing up and telling them thank you, and she looked up and she said, I don't have any idea how to do any of the things you taught me today. And I felt like a complete and total failure. And it wasn't until much later I realized that that wasn't on me, that was on her. So, flicks, let's try some long flicks. Really long. Because there's going to be places where you're going to want and need a long flick. I don't want you to leave this class and say, I didn't learn anything. I'm no better off than I was before I started. That would be the worst possible thing for me. The worst possible thing. Outline. I'm using white, and that's probably a mistake. In fact, it is an absolute mistake. But outline. Oh, this has got that pin on the back. Outline so you can see that you're getting your correct shape. Outline to see if you're pulling right or pulling left. I sometimes pull kind of weird directions. It can still work, but I still do. So start practicing. If you haven't already practiced, practice now. If you don't feel you have time to practice, listen, this is what I do when I'm watching TV. I can be sitting watching TV and make lines and lines and still see the TV, just like I'm still seeing my iPad, so that if you had a comment come up right now, I would know what the comment was, and I can just sit and do lines and lines of practice. When I am doing my lettering, say I'm doing an A, I will do not one A or two A's. I'll do line after line after line. I will fill notebooks so that I can see that my lettering is improving, or where I need to improve it, how I need to change it. Are my flicks lining up? Is everything together? And it isn't just with this. If I am lettering and I am writing, I'll just write the word hi. I may write that 50 times to see how I like it best. Do I like it with a broader curve or bowl on my H? Do I like it with a narrower curve? Do I like my letters to be all in a line, straight up and down, or do I like them to go up and down? Do I like my I to have a serif, or do I like it to be plain? All of that. If I put a serif on one letter, do I want to have it on all my letters? So I practice. I practice and practice and practice. But that also includes figuring out my own personal font. We're going to talk about that a little later in the class. But like, one of the hardest things for me, honestly, is outlining my letters. So how do I do that? Yeah, I mean, oh, that's a great idea to date your practice so that you can see how you're progressing, how you're improving. Now see, I don't love the way I outlined that A. What would I change? I'll tell you. I wouldn't intersect the way I did. I would outline all in one line rather than have that intersection there. I don't like it. It doesn't look good to me. If I am going to practice how to embellish, I'm going to try maybe 100 different ways to embellish. Maybe I am going to just see what it looks like to add stripes all the way around the bowl of my A. So practicing, and especially on a specialty lettering like this, where we are really working to get something really special. And one of the things we're going to be doing is making our own stationery. We're not making paper, we're making stationery, and you're going to need tracing paper. I've got to get that list up, but we are going to have tracing paper for your stationery. Years ago, they called it airmail stationery, and it was tracing paper because it was cheaper to mail. You used fewer stamps that cost you less if your paper was lighter weight. So we're going to make some envelopes and some stationery out of tracing paper to do that. And that will be on Saturday morning that we'll be doing that. So when you do that, and this is where your practice for this comes in doing that, we are going to be making our own letterhead. And we're going to make probably 3 or 4 different letterheads for our envelopes and our stationery itself. And we're going to be using this lettering in that. As well as the embellishing it with our pens. And we're doing that to create something really unique, really one of a kind, really very personal. But if you haven't practiced your lettering, if you don't have your lettering down and you want to use this lettering, you're gonna wish you had practiced. And you're gonna wish you had practiced doing it small as well as large. I want you to practice because I want you to be successful. That's really what this all comes down to. If I'm going to give you a little, for instance here. If all you want to do is write the word hi, can you see how tiny that is? It's little. It's just not even quite an inch big. If I want to have that word, and I do, and then I want to have some little kind of rosebuds coming off of it. If I don't practice, if I haven't practiced and tried to get this down so that I've got that skill set in place, trying to come in here and do this, I'm going to end up not having the finished product I want. Now, I like color on color. Not everybody does, but I love color on color. And so I can come in and using just darker shades of the same color, embellish and make my flowers or whatever I'm building look beautiful. And it's hard to see in yellow, but I do love yellow. I had a student once who would beg me not to use yellow in anything I did because she hated yellow so badly. And I could never understand that. I just could never wrap my brain around it. Because for me, yellow is that color that just, I don't know, it kind of makes everything better. It's my everything's better color. If you can have yellow, you can have everything. Let me grab one more pen here. So say I wanted that you can't hardly see. Say I wanted that as the letterhead on some of my stationery. If I don't know how to do this, if I haven't practiced how to rest my pen to get those little teardrops, if I haven't learned, and it's really, if you rest too long, it's going to be great big. If you barely rest, it's smaller. You have to know how the pressure of your pen allows you to do certain things. If I wanted, let's grab this lavender because this was a pretty good lavender. If I wanted a bunch of lavender roses, and let's just go with those as rosebuds, how am I going to know if I haven't practiced how to darken the throat of the rosebud? If I haven't practiced, how am I going to know that all I have to do is just kind of do an open circle with a little curve to give me the look of the rose, or to outline it loosely gives it movement. So that's what I want you to learn. I want you to learn how to do this, and I want you to have fun with it. And I want at the end of the day for you to be able to say, I learned something and I'm going to continue to practice. Do you know I have notebooks filled with different colors? That's another thing. Grab your pens and make a color chart. I'm not even flicking. I'm just drawing down so that you know what colors. Pat Brooks said in her post today that one of the things she's good at, and she is very good at it, is knowing her colors and knowing how they blend together. Pat's really, really good at that. She's good at it for a number of reasons. And one of the big reasons she's so good at it is she's practiced over and over and over again and learned how to use those. So if I have, that's my whole Tombow collection. It is play. Lynn, you could not be any more correct. If that's my Tombow collection and I do my letter in that one, I have to know that this one's going to be great to add a flick. Get to know, make a color chart, group them together. If I've got this one and this one grouped together, I can see they're going to blend. I can just look at them and know those are going to blend. But I don't know that if I haven't played with them. The more you play, the more comfortable you're going to get. If you're using blendables, or brushables, it makes it so easy because they've already done the work for you. They put down your lighter color and they've put down a darker color that blends, and it blends beautifully, believe me. So be thinking in those terms. If you're using the Twin Tone Fine Line Pens by Tombow, Lynn put up a chart already. She gave me the chart with the colors and how they match with the other Tombows. Use that as a reference, but make your own also. Okay, is there any questions? Because I feel like I've been on here for 45 minutes. I want you to practice. I hope you'll practice, but I can't make you want to practice. I'm going to show you this. This is so cool. If I am doing a little leaf, and these are my favorite little leaves, to be honest with you. On this brushable, it's got the tone that matches with it. All I have to match is the pressure. That's all I have to match is the pressure on it. So I'm going to just encourage. That's what I'm doing today. I'm going to encourage you guys to come in and play and enjoy. Get loose with it. Make some wiggly lines with your straights. With your fine lines, make some loops. Really practice and play with them, okay? I'm not going to stay on any longer. I am getting my hair done today, so I am going to go get a hairdo. Of course, I'm doing it myself, so we don't know how that's going to turn out. But play and practice today. Practice and play, okay? I love you all, and I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, I will come at 1 o'clock I'm taking a break between dictionary art and practice, and we will work together again tomorrow. Love you, girls. Bye.